Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. I am back and I'm excited to discuss some things with you today about Pokemon Reprints. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. We also as well are doing giveaways on our now active Twitter. We're about to hit 4,000 subs, not too far away, or followers. So I greatly appreciate all the love and support from you guys on there. And outside of that, you guys know the two links. If we ever have a spot available for the Patreon, highly recommend you hop on it. We actually had one spot open up and it lasted 16 minutes before it got sold out. So there's definitely a high amount of demand for that. So if you ever get the opportunity, recommend you stay up to date and watching the spots available to you. And outside of that, Discord is the place to be if you want to stay up to date on all things PokemartUSA whenever I make announcements. Now, jumping into today's video. So I want to first and foremost apologize. So sorry for being gone for 2.5, 3 weeks, I think it was. I was sick with the flu for about, or it was a fever, for about 10 days, I want to say, where I was just kind of like bedridden. It was brutal. And then I lost my voice. Like, it was one of those things where I could talk for like 5 to 10 minutes, kind of hoarsish. And then I just couldn't talk. Like, my voice just stopped working. And so it was brutal. And I just knew I had to get my voice back before I could start recording again. So here we are, ready to hop back into it. And while I was gone, there was a lot of things that happened. Most specifically, we finished off my last two videos for the previous 2 or 3 weeks ago talking about the Silver Tempest and Lost Origin reprints that were indeed confirmed. Well, they are now here and everyone has their opinion on it, and it's time for me to give my opinion on what I think is going to happen in the market. So I think I saw a video where a couple of people were talking about they don't expect the prices to drop too much because they are going to be baked into the cake with a lot of bundles. One thing I found quite interesting about this is that the bundles from when I was talking to my distributors, because some of them were bundled on with Battle Academy, some of them were bundled on with Build and Battle Stadiums, there was not a limit to how many you could order. And I say that because with our wholesale program that we use, we were able to bundle in, I think upwards of almost $100,000 worth of booster boxes is what we purchased within 2 to 3 days in the program. And so we bought so many Silver Tempest and Lost Origin booster boxes, and the prices in which they were being sold for in the program with the bundle was $91 a piece. Now, obviously, in this bundle, you had to buy some Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. You had to buy a case of Silver Tempest, Build and Battle Stadiums at like $33 a piece, but it was still something where it was an amazing bundle worth picking up. And I talked to my rep about it, and he said that we were the largest account that picked up in the Southwest that many bundles. So it appears as if the demand for the bundles and a lot of people picking it up was not greatly as anticipated as we thought, right? And with that, we're starting to see the natural adjustment of both Silver Tempest and Lost Origin booster boxes hit. However, it's not hitting as hard as we thought because of these bundles. Now, with that being said, there is not a single distributor that is open order selling booster boxes at the original wholesale price. We have a couple of distributors that are selling them for $107 a booster box with no strings attached. We had a couple of them that were selling it for as low as $91, $92 with strings attached. So that's usually like the lowest price that we've kind of seen as it stands right now. But in terms of the overall price adjustment, we're not anywhere near close to that for both Silver Tempest and Lost Origin. Taking a look at Silver Tempest, speaking of which, one thing that was quite fascinating to see, we saw the price crash. Like, we're talking, it was just dumping, went from $140 all the way down to as low as $113. We saw some places selling it online for $105 outside of TCG Player, and it was getting picked up extremely fast, right? So I think your opportunity to pick up the Silver Tempest deals at 105 and like the 110-ish price range was very short-lived because we found a demand pocket that people enjoy. right? And with the new price of MSRP increasing, you're seeing that adjustment as well, where people have a new expectation of what the future is going to be for booster box prices. And so with that, I feel as if people are getting more comfortable with the idea of the new MSRP being at $95.50 for most places, obviously low 100s for certain other places. And so when it did finally get down to that kind of marker, depending upon obviously which site you were on, with this being 113 on TCG Player, it really did just get swallowed up and eaten immediately. And with this, there is still active availability on distributor pages for people to be able to pick this up at around that 108 price. And we've seen it before, historically speaking. If you guys remember the reprints back at the end of 2021, you had prices for booster boxes selling less than what distributors were selling it for. Chilling Reign got printed into the ground. It was selling for $86 on distro, and then eventually it ended up getting sold off market for as low as $75. So it's entirely possible where we could live in a world where we see prices go below that kind of 108 price point in the future. But as it stands right now, I mean, we already saw that attempt to get offloaded, and unlike with previously before, there is strings attached with this sealed product. So it makes me to believe that it's less than likely going to potentially bottom out lower than that kind of 105 price point as we've seen on some LGS sites. I think personally for me at this point with Silver Tempest, if you can pick it up for 110 to 115, I think I heard that some places, I think it was Forge and Fire, I'm not 100% certain, don't quote me on it, was selling it most recently for 120. It's not the worst price by any means. Obviously, if you can get closer to that 110, 115, I would much rather choose that. But at the end of the day, I think that we're living in a world where the Pokemon Company is very set on moving forward with the Sword and Shield era in terms of Silver Tempest and Lost Origin, and it's unlikely at this point we could see a reprint for this. I could be 100% wrong. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but let's be honest here, guys. There's been a large amount of scarcity when it comes to booster box reprints, and we're just now starting to see booster box reprints happen. We had it obviously for Astral and Brilliant, which were tiny. Silver Tempest and Lost Origin just occurred. All of these booster boxes, what do they have in common? They came out in 2022, and it just seems as if Pokemon Company's like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're moving on. It's going to be Scarlet and Violet time, right? And if we go take a look, obviously we're just taking a look right now at Silver Tempest, but Lost Origin prices, which did take a massive dive as well. I think at the highest we saw this selling for 180. At the lowest, it currently is selling for right now at around 138. You guys remember what my general advice is. Always wait about 2 weeks before you really jump in, because although this is an extremely volatile market, I wouldn't want to jump in right away because there is product still available from distros for the price to still continue to go down. So don't immediately jump on this and say, this is it, this is the bottom, even though it does feel like that immediately. I would still wait some time, and you could still do that with Silver Tempest as well. But at the end of the day, we think about this on the channel from a long-term perspective as something that, are you really going to quabble if you can find this for 110, 115, 120 and say to myself, oh, I got in $10 cheaper? And sure, maybe from a percentage perspective, it's going to make a difference in the long term because of how many you're able to pick up in the short term, but it's not going to matter because we're seeing what's happening with Sun and Moon era booster boxes, and Sword and Shield era is going to be the next to come in the next 3 to 5 years if the market just continues to be what it is right now. So I would say that it's definitely an opportunity that people are really going to need to take advantage of, because I mean, these are alternate art sets, these are character rare sets, these are sets that are amazing pickups that you're going to want to pick up at a cheap price. And sure, it's not going to be sub $100, but I think sub $100 for sets like these that are so high demand, and the print for what we got for the reprint, although it was a medium size, it was not large enough of a size to where it was going to make a huge difference in the overall price point to sub 100 because of the items that were attached to it, but just enough to where, I mean, guys, the math on this from 180 down to 138, that's still over a 30% drop. Like that's still a massive drop. This isn't something to be taken lightly in terms of the overall price correction. But once again, now is not the time to get greedy on this. But just want to kind of give my quick updates and opinions on those two things. The next thing I wanted to have a conversation with, speaking of, we had a leak, or I shouldn't say leak, but a confirmation. Shout out to Adrian with Pokemon Deals Community. As always, we have some confirmation for V-Star Universe reprints confirmed. Apparently, according to the sources, it's going to be a massive one. Personally speaking, I put a lot of stock in whatever Adrian says because he has a lot of reputable sources. So with this, I'm going to believe that this is going to, of course, happen. And with that, what does this ultimately mean? Now, I know there's been a lot of speculation with this. For those of you that don't know or just are now finding out about this information, that, oh my goodness gracious, V-Star Universe, a specialty set for Japan, getting a reprint out of nowhere, even though Japan usually is not known for just kind of having these multiple reprints, right? Because the set came out, they had a reprint. Now this is their second reprint that they're having for V-Star Universe. And the first go around, the prices dropped from $100 to, I want to say, as low as like $58. And they're saying this one's going to be an absolutely massive reprint. Obviously, we'll see what the price adjustment's going to be when that ends up happening. But prices for V-Star have done nothing but absolutely climb. So the question we ultimately have to ask ourselves is, what is the price point going to be for this? Only time is going to tell. But the real question, which everyone loves to hide, everyone loves to have their conspiracy theories, or they like to think about it and say, okay, does this mean that, they're reprinting a set that it feels like it's out of nowhere? Does that mean Evolving Skies is next? Because they could all of a sudden reprint Evolving Skies out of nowhere. And here's the deal, man. You guys know I've been an advocate for saying I will never rule anything out until it is out of rotation. And so it's always possible that we could still get a 2021 ETB or a booster box reprint of that old product of Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, etc., Evolving Skies. But it's one of these things where I don't want people to get their hopes up too much because they look at what Japan is doing and printing product which feels out of the norm, because usually they wouldn't go back and print a set this old, which is funny to say because it's not that old of a set, but in Japan's time frame in which they do reprint things, it feels like it's super old by our standard, right? And so people are getting the idea that this could potentially lead to the same thing happening within the US. I think that it's entirely possible. It's obviously a theory, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too much until we get some more confirmation, having to do with that. But at the end of the day, I've said this before and I'll say it again, there is not ever a correlation when it comes to the overall reprints of product from different countries, right? We've had reprints from Australia for Evolving Skies. We've had reprints for Evolving Skies in the UK happen where we thought it was going to happen in the US to follow, and it never did, right? And vice versa on the other front, where we got reprints for certain booster boxes and none of the other countries or continents ended up getting reprints. And so you have to really take everything with a grain of salt in that regard. But at the end of the day, it's extremely exciting to see a set like V-Star Universe get a reprint, because holy crap, guys, Japanese product has done nothing but just moon. I mean, the demand for Japanese products is insane. So if you can pick this up at a price point of, it's supposedly a massive reprint, freaking $60, $50, $70. This would be an amazing pickup to go long term, even if you're not someone that's into Japanese product from an investment perspective. If that's something you're still into, it's definitely an opportunity you don't want to miss out on. But as far as it goes for today's video, that is all I had to discuss with you guys. There's a lot more I wanted to talk about today, but I don't want to just blurt it out all in one video and make a 1 hour long video. So we'll save that for Wednesday's content. I have a couple of other exciting announcements I'm going to make both on the live Tuesdays and Thursdays if you guys want to check that out, and some of my other videos. But great to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Can't thank you guys enough as always. Make sure if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Also doing our giveaways on Twitter as well if you want to follow us on that. And if there ever is spots in the Patreon, highly recommend you join. It's extremely in demand. So definitely don't want to miss out on the opportunity that comes with that. And then, you know, the place to be to stay up to date on all things Pokemart USA is our Discord. So links are down in the description below for all of that. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Tuesday's live. Peace.